matchup. That one went to Alabama, 3-0 the final against the Jaguars in that game. Messer grounds that one foul. Farish Beard was the starting pitcher, and if you consider it was a 3-0 final, only 5 hits allowed, she's had success against this very lineup not long ago.
Well, and you bring that into this game, that experience. I think the hitters, they probably know a little bit more what to expect that faced her. But still, as a pitcher, you bring that confidence in that if I can just maybe not give up a few of those hits, I have a chance.
Grantham does not have a play. Messer, one of the fastest players in that South Alabama lineup. She just gave herself enough time with the pop.
And slappers are liking this field. This is a nice drop ball by Trina, but Messer doing a good job of keeping her hands down on that zone and using the ground. This ball is hopping high. We've seen it off the slap balls. We've seen it hitters from the right side. They hit it and they beat it out because this ball stays up in the air a long time.
The bunt from Pilkington to advance Messer.
In first inning, when Stephanie Pilkington got on, Coach Becky Clark did not put down the bunt, but this time I think she's electing to, knowing they got to get some runs on the board. They're going to have to try to move runners over, get them in scoring position, especially now they have one out and runner on second base. Good opportunity to try to get that base hit, top of the lineup up.
First pitch misses to Blair Johnson, the junior out of Kimberly, Alabama. One of 4 players between these two teams that went to Mortimer Jordan High School, part of that powerhouse program there. Floats that one into foul territory. Danae Hayes makes the play. Coincidentally, Hayes also from Mortimer Jordan High School. Some news and notes, what's happening nationally. We've already alluded to it, but 33-1, the national seeds through Saturday's games. Georgia, the number 4 seed, the only team to lose on its way to the regional final. They've made their way into the regional final. Pac-12 perfect. 9 of 11 SEC teams still alive. South Carolina and Mississippi State have been eliminated. But the SEC, Southeastern Conference, tying its record from last year with 11 teams in the field of 64. And 9 are still going. Auburn's fighting hard at 16 seed Minnesota. Several hosting. Missouri in a little bit of trouble against Nebraska. May have to play a second game today there. Tennessee looking undaunted at home this weekend. They've played really well, as has Florida. Julie Moss, 0-1.
Well, as hard as the competition is in the SEC, as one of the top conferences in the entire nation, if not the top, it's really an added benefit. A lot of times as players, you take a beating and you think, we have to play another team this level again. But you get into postseason and you're thankful. You're thankful for going through those trials and that fight and that battle, and you come out stronger. Pitchers know that every hitter they're going to face in postseason is going to be that level of play that they faced in conference. When you have a top conference, especially when weekend after weekend, game after game, you're having to be at your best. It challenges you, it makes you better. You have to learn and grow, and really you come out on the other side tougher.
Moss waits on that one. Such an outstanding regional weekend for the recently returned senior second baseman. Came into this game 6 for 12 with an RBI and a couple runs scored. She's 2 for 2 this regional with a runner in scoring position. At her swinging. South Alabama strands a runner in scoring position. When we return, we're chatting with their head coach, Becky Clark. 2-0 Bama through 3. A beautiful look from a little grassy knoll here, top of the 4th. Alabama with a 2-0 lead over South Alabama. We welcome in the Jaguars head coach Becky Clark now. And Coach Farish Beard, called out a little bit early for some illegal pitches. I know that happened right at the onset.
Right.
How has she settled into kind of dealing and managing that?
She's fine. You know, she's actually better when she makes sure that she stays in contact, and that's what I was telling her. She works so much off of adrenaline. She just kind of gets going and starts competing and doesn't take care of that. So it's more of a mentality thing where she's just going after people.
And Coach, obviously you got to score runs to win. Can you talk just a little bit about what adjustments your hitters need to make to figure out Jacqueline Trena?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough right now because there's times she's out of the zone and then times she's pounding the zone. And so there's times when you need to kind of be patient and times you need to be aggressive. And we're trying to find that mix, find that balance. You know, the biggest thing is we've got to get our foot down and give ourselves some time. She's throwing really well today. Velocity's there. So we just got to make sure that we're on time and giving ourselves a chance.
Thanks for your time, Coach Clark.
Thank you.
Taking a look at our comparison of starting pitchers, and to her point, Farish Beard maybe came up, you know, initially a little bit too overexcited. She knew she was facing one of the toughest lineups, top to bottom in the country. She has settled in since that early mishap.
Well, and that's what a lot of coaches will actually say. What she mentioned is just, you know, she actually throws better when she keeps her foot in contact. A lot of, you know, people think it's an advantage, but not always. If that foot leaves the ground, you know, a lot of them feel like they push forward a little bit better. Some people think they get more of a jump and they get closer to the hitter if they take that leap, and so I think that's solid coaching right there, just to say, hey, okay, just remember, keep that foot on the ground. You don't need that extra jump. Calm down. Let's bring you back to that level of let's go back and do what's gotten you here, and so just quality advice, I think, and I'm sure as a pitcher that helps Farish Beard.
Leona Lafayette right back to Beard. Really love the confidence that Becky Clark, the pitching coach of this team, has in her battery. Becky Clark actually lets Alex Breeden, the catcher, call the pitches, and you don't see that a lot, especially not from a pitching coach, head coach, Leah, that she has the trust in the pitcher and the catcher to make their decisions.
Well, and she said that's she likes having a catcher that calls it, and she said she actually has a lot better look at where the hitter's standing, what the pitcher's throwing well, and how the ball's moving and breaking, and what the umpire's calling. And you know, a lot of times it goes back to, do I trust them enough? And obviously in this situation she trusts catcher Alex Breeden a whole lot, allowing her to call pitches not only for Farish Beard but also their other star pitcher Hannah Campbell. And you know, when you've been as successful as they have, you continue to go with what works. And Farish Beard, 22 wins on the season. It's working.
0-2 on the way to Jacqueline Trena. Got her.
And we know that Beard throws that rise ball, and in this situation she's going to go to her screwball. That's going to cut just on that inside corner, breaking a little bit towards the hitter, Jacqueline Trena. So mixing up that in an 0-2 count, I'm sure a little bit in the head of Jacqueline Trena. She's thinking rise ball, but she comes in with that screwball.
3 tickets already punched to the Super Regionals. Washington, we saw the Huskies do that yesterday. They started regional play on Thursday, as well Florida and Florida State. How about this, Leah? We've talked about the seeded teams cruising through the regional. Neither the Huskies nor the Gators allowed a single run in their regional.
I think that says a lot. That's important because that's what we're seeing. A lot of these teams are hitting, okay, and that's what you expect. We're seeing a few pitcher matchups, but that's important to be able to go out and get the run production that you want to see, but also to shut down the other teams, and that's what you want going into Super Regionals, because you know that's going to start to be a whole nother level. You're not going to have many breaks.
Peyton Grantham grounds to fellow third baseman Emily Nesser. 3 up, 3 down. A settled inning for Farish Beard. When we return, we'll chat with Alabama head coach Patrick Murphy. Welcome back to the Tuscaloosa Regional Final. ESPN 3's coverage. Alabama with a 2-0 lead over South Alabama heading into the bottom of the 4th. We welcome in Crimson Tide head coach Patrick Murphy. We asked you the question yesterday. We'll ask you again. What are you seeing from your senior Jacqueline Trena in the circle today?
Well, really good movement. She's keeping the ball low. He's calling, you know, some pitches low, which is good for us. She's attacking hitters. She's getting ahead of hitters. She's doing a really good job.
And Coach, you talk about balance throughout your lineup, but I mean, how does it feel to have Haley McClenny coming up with runners on base, hitting that triple, 16-game hit streak going on? What is it like to coach a player like that?
Well, probably like it was to coach you. She can do anything, and I was hoping that we wouldn't have gotten a wild pitch or something to move the runners up, because I guarantee you they would have walked her there. So it was kind of in our favor that it worked out that way. First and second, 2 outs. They almost have to pitch to her, and she came through.
Thanks for joining us, Coach Murphy.
Thanks for being here, you guys.
You bet. Really nowhere else that Leah and I would rather be this weekend than Tuscaloosa. We've seen such remarkable performances from all 4 teams. Superfan Emily Pedic in the crowd with her pink sombrero. +1 this weekend. Another little Crimson Tide fan coming into this world soon. You've been warned.
I just love what he's talking about, just all the situations allowing Haley to have that opportunity to hit. He knows that that's one of his players that he absolutely wants up in that situation. Now she's in center field, and he knows that if that ball gets hit anywhere on that grass, she's going to go down, lay out for it if she has to.
0-2 now to Chloe Rathburn. Haley McClenny, along with the shortstop for USC Upstate, Maddie Kiefer, both making SportsCenter's top 10 plays on Friday night in our opening games here in the Tuscaloosa Regional. She had a beautiful horizontal layout on a catch out there in center. One thing that we've seen from almost every position player here, and this is what happens when you get to the field of 64. The grace, the fluidity, they make it look so simple. Really tough plays. Rathburn up the middle. Drives that 1-2 pinch in for a leadoff single.
Well, the key with Jacqueline Traina right now is going to be able to make sure that, first of all, you get a good pitch to hit, one that's on the corner of the plate and not just off. She's kind of working away at those corners, mixing up where she's pitching it, and then to keep your swing short. That's going to be the key. You're not going to want to take any big hacks. You're going to shorten up your swing a little bit. She's throwing the ball hard. Kind of want to just get that front foot down like Coach Clark was talking about. Get it down early enough. Her velocity is there.
Pinch runner for South Alabama, the fleet-footed Gwen Jones, a transfer out of Northwest Florida State College. Alex Breeden, your hitter now. Fouled off several pitches with 2 strikes, got to full count in her first at bat in the first off Traina. Ended up one of Traina's 6 strikeout victims.
And Traina really moving the ball well today, spinning it. And what I like is that it's all her pitches. She's going across the plate, she's coming in hard to right-handers, mixing that off-speed pitch, has that nice rise ball.
4 hits in the regional for Alex Breeden. She's 2 for 5 with runners on base.
In that outside corner, there's some pitches that are getting called, some that home plate umpire David Irwin thinks are a little bit off the plate.
Discerning eye, David Irwin. He is locked in. That one fouled back into the fans. The standing room only section. Gwen Jones was ready to try to get to third. She was flying toward second base.
Well, and interesting that Coach Becky Clark is not calling on Breeden to bunt at all, not give herself up. Nobody out, pinch runner with speed on, and she's allowing her to hit away. And you know, there's a couple different trains of thought. It can be that she feels like, okay, we have to get more than 1 run in order to get back in this game. It could be that she knows her hitters, and the ones, you talk to the coaches, a lot of times they know who the best bunters on the team are, the ones that they would call every time on them to bunt. And others hitters, I think they think, I'm going to take my chance and allow them to swing away.
Back up the middle. Kayla Hunt for the out.
Well, if pinch runner Gwen Jones didn't have that speed that she has, that would have been a play at second. They would have gotten the lead runner, but she took off as soon as that ball came off of Breeden's bat. So nice job of getting to second base and making sure she was advancing.
Caitlin Griffith, your hitter now, struck out looking in the second. Griffith, tag toward right center. McClenny is there. Jones tags up to third. Griffith's ball kind of flew off the bat quickly and then started to die midair.
Well, off the bat, it sounded like that ball was going to go a long way. But I think the key is that she just got under it a little bit too much. There was spin that was going up on that ball, and had she stayed through that ball a little bit longer, it might have been a different result. But the speed of McClenny, she's going to get to that ball every time.
Big swing there from the freshman Amanda Minahan, with Jones just 60 feet away. South Alabama 0 for 4 in this game with the runner in scoring position. Another big cut there.
Trana using that rise ball and then going back to that curve, and now she is in the position she wants to be in. She's going to make Minahan chase. She's going to spin the ball. She's going to throw it hard.
Got her. 7th strikeout for Jackie Trana to end that half inning. 2-0 Alabama through 4. Welcome back to the Tuscaloosa Regional Final. All eyes in Tuscaloosa on what's happening in Columbia, Missouri, because the winner there will face the winner here. Well, Mizzou fell in the first game of the regional final. 11-4, Nebraska the victors, forcing a Game 7. So that should start at about 3:40 Eastern Time. We will keep our eyes on that score. Remember, we are all marching along the road to the Women's College World Series. It starts May 29th. Coverage at noon Eastern, live on ESPN, and you can track it on NCAA.com, your official online home for all 89 NCAA championships. Familiar cowboy hat in the stands. That would belong to Haley McClenny's dad. It might be the only cowboy hat we have in the stands. On a lovely spring day here in Tuscaloosa. Not too hot. For mid-May, it can be a bit stifling. Bunt laid down for Danielle Richard. Overthrown. She's at second base.
Well, and that fires up not only Danielle Richard, but also her teammates and this crowd. And that's it. They've been waiting for something to cheer about. And this is just a nice bunt. And it was the fact that she pulled out the bat so late, just that sneaky bunt. And Emily Messer, she throws this ball on the run, but doesn't even come anywhere near second baseman Julie Moss coming over to field that.
The speed on display there for Danielle Richard, and that forces out Farish Beard. Becky Clark has made a pitching change. We'll see Hannah Campbell, the senior lefty, right after this.
And Hannah Campbell mixes up the ball. She has multiple different speeds, and she's a lefty. I think that's one of the reasons she complements right-handed pitcher Farish Beard. She's going to use all the zones, but what the key for her is that she's going to, when she is on, she's forcing a lot of ground balls, allowing her defense to work behind her. That's how you know her ball is moving, and she's pitching the ball where she wants to and hitting her spots.
First pitch strike to Haley McClenny. Campbell 1-1 this regional weekend. She lost on Friday in that opener against USC Upstate, but was able to get the win last night against USC Upstate. Wanted a chance to see the Spartans again. she got it. Avenged that loss with a victory.
When Coach Clark talked
earlier in the game, second inning. The difference so far on the scoreboard, Haley McClinney plants the ball under the fence in left center. A triple of the 2-run variety. Victory howl on the end of it.
Well, and that's what I like about having McClinney in that spot. We know that she has speed and she has such great bat control. She utilizes the ground a lot. She can poke it by the left side of the field. She finds that 5-6 hole often, but then she can come up and she can drive a pitch and has a very good eye, very patient hitter waiting for the strike that she wants. And that's one of the reasons why her number is hitting in .465 on the season. She's gonna do something with the ball.
McClinney, .468 overall with runners in scoring position. She's 2 for 4 this regional weekend when that's the case.
Well,
There's your dad.
You like it as a coach when you go, you see her in the box and just the confidence that she exudes. I mean, you know that she's going to make something happen for your team and she's going to get them pumped up.
The grounder to the first baseman, Amanda Herron, makes the tag. Danielle Richard advances. McClinney tried to get creative and slide, see if she couldn't throw off that tag.
Well, and that's an athlete right there. I mean, she mishits this ball to the first baseman who's next to first base, but literally she goes and tries to dive underneath the tag. You gotta love that. She is gonna do anything it takes, and she just wants to get on base.
A little strawberry on her arm. It's not game day unless Haley McClinney's uniform is dirty from collar to socks.
Well, and the situation right there is she had a runner on second with nobody out, so she completely does her job, but you know, just the fact that she's going to try to dive in, you're not going to see a lot of players do that, and because of her speed and because of the type of player she is, I mean, she was almost safe.
1-0 coming to Callie Case. Case 2 for 7 in the regional with runners in scoring position. Richard just 60 feet away. Case comes from an athletic family. Her dad, Scott, played 12 years in the NFL at cornerback. Her mom, a softball player at Northeastern Oklahoma A&M. 2-2 now to even the count. Also has a sister, Kelsey, who played softball at Valdosta State. And her brother, Cody, played football there. So, elite athletes. Swing and a miss.
You see that drop curve that Hannah Campbell throws in as a left-handed pitcher against a lefty batter. That ball just moves across the plate and out of the strike zone, and it's coming in. It looks good. You see Callie Case offer at it, but that ball just continues to move away from her.
Alabama trying to make its 10th straight appearance in the Super Regionals. South Alabama still seeking its first trip to the Super Regionals. Jaguars came so close last season, Leah, when they were hosting the Mobile Regional. Thought they had the final game won against Florida State. They were leading. They lost in an 8-inning, 1-run heartbreaker, and the Seminoles made their way to the Super Regionals. South Alabama headed into this season with a chip on its shoulder and hunger in its belly.
Well, and that's why they just don't want to settle. They're here. They know that they were coming up against a very tough team in Alabama, but in their minds, they're going to give everything because they saw that when they were on the side and were leading, that a team could come back against them, and they want to do that.
Kayla Hunt Grounds into left to score Richard. Third run on the board for Alabama.
Such a nice piece of hitting by Kayla Hunt. And you know that has to feel good. She sees her teammates doing it, and she takes this inside pitch. She gets all barrel on that ball, drives it past Emily Messer at third base. That's clutch hitting right there. 2-out hitting, situational, runner on third base, you bring them in. Alabama softball.
Fourth hit of the regional weekend for Kayla Hunt. She is 4 for 7 with runners in scoring position. So when they've needed her, she's continued to come through. And their line this year, 2 outs, so what? 2-out hitting. That was something they wanted to improve in the offseason. They have done that, and it's coming through for them at the most important time. Hunt going for second base. Got her. Alex Breeden with the throw to get Kayla Hunt attempting to steal, but another run on the board for Alabama. 3-0 heading to the bottom of the 5th. We're in the bottom of the 5th in the Tuscaloosa Regional Final. Alabama adding another one in the top of the frame to take a 3-0 lead over South Alabama. We've talked a lot about the 4 teams this weekend in Tuscaloosa, and it's an interesting history lesson in the world of softball, Leah, because you've got Alabama making its 16th straight regional appearance, but this is a program that was established and started play in 1997. South Alabama 3 in a row. They just started 10 years later in 07. USC Upstate, SIU, Edwardsville, 2 teams that recently transitioned to Division I, making their second and first appearance. So it's really Alabama is what all of those other 3 programs aspire to be: consistent success, return trips to the postseason. Alabama has what a lot of the younger programs in the country want.
What I love, one of the pictures out on the concourse here at the stadium, it says tradition never graduates, and it has a picture of just former great athletes that have played here. You think of Kelly Kretschmann, Kelly Montalvo, Charlotte Morgan, Kayla Breaux recently. You think of these great names, and that's the idea, is that you continue to bring in those top players. And you're right, with these teams advancing and getting to regionals, and a team like South Alabama year after year now getting into this final game at a regional and just trying to get past that to get to the super regionals, that starts to just build that belief in the players, the confidence, and what they start to bring in.
Amanda Herron fouls that pitch back, 1-2. And what's going to happen inevitably is that those programs are going to start to send coaches out into the world, as Patrick Murphy has. Stephanie Van Brakel, his pitching coach here. Kelsey Dunn, a pitcher here just a few years ago, is the pitching coach at Oklahoma State. Herron with the slow roller to Hunt. Has to get on her horse to make the play. That wasn't the prettiest defensive play we've ever seen from Kayla Hunt, but effective.
Well, and you gotta love, this is why Trina says, hey, I trust my defense, they got my back. By the time Lafayette went for that ball too, she tries to get back to the bag, but Breaux sees that it's gonna be too late if she tosses that ball. And so she goes into a slide, like she's sliding into the base. A lot of times they'll dive and try to get the glove to tag the base, and she kind of does the slide, and hey, she finishes the play. That's really what matters most.
First pitch swinging for Emily Messer. David Irwin stating it hit the ground. Let's take another look, Leah.
And this crowd is not happy that he saying that the ball touched the ground. And
it did. It did.
It looked
and
like
in real time, it didn't look like it did.
Yeah.
Oh, they're incensed.
Basically becomes a short hop, just a really short hop into her glove.
And again, in real time, it was a lot harder to see it. It was a very smooth, like a 1-inch hop into the mid of Peyton Grantham.
Well, and the view of home plate umpire David Irwin, he is right there watching that ball straight on, and so he does have a good view.
He's got his eagle eyes on today, calling balls and strikes. Doing a lot of work out there. 1-1 to Messer. the fans that bring little signs that say bad call to the stadium. They've got all kinds of things in their bags of tricks here in Alabama. Saw some big heads in the crowd earlier, I think with the South Alabama players on them. Of course, a lot of crimson here in the world of the Crimson Tide. Sprinkle in a little houndstooth, of course. The Bear Bryant fabric pattern of choice.
Trying to challenging Emily Messer inside with that drop curve. Mixing it up a little bit. Coach Stephanie Van Brakel calling the pitches. Doing a nice job today of keeping these hitters off balance for South Alabama.
Emily Messer, a local girl out of Mobile, went to St. Paul's Episcopal School. Set high school records and career records for both season and career. Stolen bases, hits, batting average, runs. Potent offensive player. Staying alive. Lifts that one into left. The great range of Callie Case, no trouble.
When the outfield's pulled in for slap hitting, center fielder Haley McClenny and left fielder Callie Case pulled towards the left field line, shading and coming in. And that's how you want to play those hitters. You're going to challenge them to try to hit it past you, but you know that more likely the numbers are going to go to where that's where they're going to hit the ball.
Stephanie Pilkington jumps on the first offering she sees. Sometimes you got to show it to get it. Leona Lafaele. I made that play, sir. Give it to me. Danae Hayes exhibiting her range. One hop. Got it. Top of the 6th inning at the Tuscaloosa Regional Final. Alabama with a 3-0 lead over South Alabama. As Leah knows, tradition never graduates. Tradition of success here, especially when Haley McClenny is in the batter's box. A 2-run triple in the second puts Alabama on the board. Kayla Hunt, equally known for RBI and clutch situations, 3-0 Alabama, and Jacqueline Traina has settled in once again. 101 career wins, doing what she does, Leah.
And every pitch is working for her today. She has her rise ball, her curve, her screwball, and that drop curve. And in that, we didn't even show her off-speed pitch. She has it all, and when it's all working, she is almost unhittable. She is on fire today. She is in the zone, and that is what they need out of her. This is what they want this time of the year. Their team playing their best softball, them firing on all cylinders.
Traina, the SEC Pitcher of the Year for the second time in her career, also earned that honor as a sophomore. She's a finalist for Player of the Year in the top 10 along with her teammate Haley McClenny. Jaden Spencer puts it into play. Emily Messer easily handles that one. Spencer still, think about her numbers this weekend, 9 of 11. Remarkable offensive performance for her.
And you want that to keep going. If they can hold this lead and get to super regionals, that's what you want. You want kind of find out those hitters that are getting hot at just the right time. Coach Murphy talking about that balance throughout the lineup, what he's been most impressed with this year, just knowing that from top to bottom it can be different players.
Molly Fickner has certainly been productive this season for the Crimson Tide, earning all SEC second team honors. Remember, she transferred in from Texas San Antonio last year. 0-1 on the way. To Messer, she's been busy. Second out. Let's revisit our tweet topic. Follow us on Twitter at ESPNU. What What has been the biggest surprise of the NCAA softball regional weekend? Abby Murphy says Jaden Spencer's amazing performance for Alabama. Biggest surprise so far, Leah and I watching together that comeback win for LSU last night. And then what about Auburn losing to North Dakota State? Well, that's a Roll Tide fan. That's an Alabama fan. Auburn, by the way, fought its way back into the regional final there in Minnesota. So that's not a surprise. If you know softball, you know North Dakota State brings it to the regional year in, year out behind Darren Mueller and Jamie Traxel. We have a pinch hitter now for Alabama. This is Chauncey Bell. Give yourself away on Twitter if you add a little Roll Tide on the end and mock Auburn. That's just SEC rivalry at its finest right there.
I know. People aren't going to take you as seriously.
Auburn, the big rival of Alabama. Louisiana Lafayette, the big rival of South Alabama. The Sun Belt Conference rivals. They're the 6th seed this year in the field of 64.
And part of that preparation, being able to play them in conference and battling out in conference tournaments just prior to postseason, really, you know, it shows you where you're at and kind of what level you need to rise to. And the Jaguars came up a little bit short, but they were able to advance and get here this weekend. And a lot of that due to the pitching of Hannah Campbell and Ferris Beard.
South Alabama had won the Sun Belt Conference tournament in back-to-back years before losing to Lafayette 4-1 in the championship game this year. Becky Clark telling us whenever South Alabama plays Louisiana Lafayette, it's a super regional feel. That's really great preparation as they get ready for this time of year, but consider the preparation Alabama has. South Alabama and Louisiana Lafayette, the only 2 in the field from the Sun Belt, 11 teams in the field from the Southeastern Conference. Texas A&M didn't even make the conference tournament and was still an at-large bid for the field of 64.
Well, they're playing against Oklahoma today, so they've advanced to the final day in the regionals.
Griffith hustles. 3 up, 3 down for Hannah Campbell. Time running out for South Alabama, bottom of the 6th. We'll see if the Jaguars bats wake up. Coverage of the Women's College World Series on the ESPN Network starts May 29th, but you need to be with us next weekend. Coverage begins Thursday of the Super Regionals, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. We are in the regional final here. Alabama looking to advance to its 10th straight Super Regional, a 4th ticket punch to the Super since the last time we chatted. We were just talking about the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana Lafayette taking care of business. 10-1 victors over Texas in that regional final today.
Well, they're another team that just year after year is stacked with talent and constantly has their name up in discussions for who's going to compete in postseason. And right there, they're doing it in big-time fashion and showing why they have a top seed that's going to allow them to continue to host. And that's important. This time of the year, being here in Alabama, them hosting that is home field advantage, and that's where you want to be one of the best in the country at the end of the year.
Blair Johnson fouls that one down the left field line. Also, of the 4 tickets punched, Leah, we have our first matchup because both Washington and Florida have advanced, and that will be one of the 8 Super Regionals. The Florida Gators will be hosting the Washington Huskies. Florida, the 5 seed, Washington, the 12. Alabama, the only program to make it to every Super Regional since the format changed in 2005. This is the 10th NCAA tournament to use that format. Did she go? She did. Another strikeout for Trina, 8th.
She's continuing to mix up where she's throwing this, and this is this drop curve that is not in the zone, but Blair Johnson just can't keep her hands back far enough. And this is the part of the lineup. Sixth inning, you have your number 2, 3, 4 hitters coming up. You got to get things started.
We have a defensive substitution now for Alabama in right field. Jaden Spencer has come out. Chandler Dare has come in. Chandler Dare was brought in a late defensive substitution yesterday and ended up creating the game-ending double play. Caught a short fly, fired it home. Game over.
Well, what I loved was the entire team went out to right field foul territory as she was running in after she made that play and just surrounded her and started just pounding her on the head and giving her high fives. And it's just, that's what it's about. She gets in the game, catches the fly ball, ends it with a perfect throw to home, and the team loves that, and they support and they celebrate what she just did. They let her be the hero.
They actually put her up on their shoulders for a bit. 2-0 now to Julie Moss. The freshman Dare, a local product from Tuscaloosa. An outfielder of the future here at Alabama. Chandler Dare has been a defensive substitution and a pinch runner, but she was actually the career batting average leader for the state of Alabama. .669 she hit in high school. Evans. 3-0 now to Moss. Called her back. Julie Moss was taking her base. Hope having a chance to chat with her, one of the senior leaders of this team, and Becky Clark talking about Julie Moss, and Hannah Campbell just said, they're great players, but they're great people too. Perhaps once in a while they need to keep their coach's head on straight, make sure she doesn't get too excited. Moss grounds out to Kayla Hunt. We mentioned Jackie Traina has 100 career wins, now 101, and as we look at this list of SEC pitchers that have hit the century mark, Hannah Rogers of Florida on there. She's still playing, powering the Gators through their Gainesville Regional. Look at those names. Monica Abbott played for it all in Oklahoma City. Stacy Nelson for Florida also. Monica Abbott still shining in the circle here in America in the National Pro Fast Pitch League, and also in Japan, where she's a highly successful professional player.
And exciting to see when you're one of the best in the entire world that you can just lengthen your career and continue to play this sport at the highest level against the best competition and still continue to win. And that's why when you see that number of 189 career wins, I don't know that that will ever be matched. And I mean, just spectacular numbers, unbelievable numbers.
1-1 to Chloe Rathburn. That's in there for a strike. Spinning forwardly as we look forward to the Super Regionals. There are a lot of teams that remind you of Monica Abbott in the days of Tennessee. They have one defined staff ace. Not a lot of programs like South Alabama have two pitchers that they have total confidence in.
Well, and two pitchers that carry the numbers that they do, and that's the key, I think. It's not that they don't have more than one pitcher to throw, but it's just that a lot of hitters now are used to pitchers who are throwing mid-60s, and if you are not spinning that ball and that ball's not jumping, you're not going to fool anyone. You got to be able to mix speeds and hit your spots and not make any mistakes. You can't miss with the hitters up there. And that's one of the reasons we've seen Jacqueline Traina be so effective, is that she's throwing the ball in the strike zone. She gets ahead of hitters, but it's the different pitches she's throwing. She's throwing the rise ball that jumps. She uses those corners, but she does it multiple ways with a curveball. But then she also has a drop curve that goes out of the zone and comes in hard with the screwball, and especially that flip, turns her wrists over off speed pitch that she has. This is a hitter you really have to be patient. You have to make sure that you're making the right decision. You got to make sure you're being quick enough for the speed that she throws. She'll hit 70 miles per hour at her top, and then you also got to be able to react and keep those hands back for that off-speed pitch.
Full count to Chloe Rathburn now. Got her. What were you just saying about that extra pitch? Ninth strikeout of the game for Jacqueline Traina.
This is off speed right after that hard rise ball. Finishes the batter.
We are through 6 in this Tuscaloosa Regional Final. Alabama with a 3-0 advantage over South Alabama. The Jaguars have had some chances, but 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Meantime, the 2-out so what motto of Alabama all season long, that has certainly rung true for them today. All 3 RBI on the board, coming with 2 outs. 10th straight Super Regional appearance on the line for Alabama. South Alabama trying to break through. They just made their first regional appearance in 2012. Pitcher versus pitcher now. Decorated senior versus decorated senior. Hannah Campbell and Jackie Traina, a couple of all-region first-teamers recently named within the last week. Traina's been an All-American several times in her career, every year.
That inside pitch. Jacqueline Traina watched low inside pitch for strike 3. The 4th inning, last up out. I'm sure right now she wants to try to help herself out, get a little insurance heading into the bottom of the 7th.
1-2 now to Traina. We mentioned her All-America honors. Hannah Campbell is the first All-American for the South Alabama softball program. She earned that last year, named to the NFCA second team. Loved her attitude heading into the weekend on winning in the postseason. You just can't be overwhelmed by who you're competing against. South Alabama certainly hasn't looked overwhelmed by Alabama, as Traina grounds out to short. But perhaps they have been overwhelmed by the pitching of Jacqueline Traina.
Well, that's, I think, the biggest difference, and that's what we expected to see. We knew that the Jaguars would have to try to find a way to figure out Jacqueline Traina. They have not been able to do that. Traina only giving up 2 hits, and Alabama, we knew they put that pressure on. They'd find that timely hitting, very successful with 2 outs, and that's the key, is just being able to push those runs across when you get the runners in scoring position.
Traina, pitcher, Leah, we've seen her a couple times this weekend and certainly throughout her career. When she gets in that locked-in mode, she'll just mow through stretches. Yesterday, at one point, retiring 14 hitters in a row. She's at 9 in a row right now. She had that second inning where she struck out the side, and that was 5 out of 6 batters that she struck out in that stretch. Peyton Grantham flies out to right.
Well, and what I love about her, she's just so stoic. Like, that's it. She just has this stare on her face. She's locked in, and she's committed to what she's going to throw, and that's just it. She's confident, she believes in it. And I know last year that was a little bit of an issue. She was battling an injury, so I'm sure that had something to do with it. But really, the mental side of it is so important. You can never overlook that. You can have skills and talent, but all of a sudden as a pitcher, sometimes we see when they get in a defensive mode, they start to flatten out their pitches, and other teams have success.
Richard, first pitch swinging. 3 up, 3 down for Hannah Campbell. She's done her work. South Alabama needs to put 3 on the board to extend this game. Welcome back to the Tuscaloosa Regional Final. We've talked a little bit about what's at stake for Alabama, trying to make its 10th straight appearance in the Super Regional, the only program to be at every Super Regional since the tournament format changed in 2005. A couple of other schools have made 8 in a row, and of course Washington has made its 9th. They are already with their ticket punched, looking to get back to Oklahoma City. That's the goal of all of those historically successful programs. Trina with 9 strikeouts in this game. She's retired 9 straight South Alabama Jaguars hitters. Alex Breeden leading off the inning. The catcher has struck out and ground to second in her 2 previous at-bats.
And Trina looking so strong this weekend, and so important that these pitchers heading into postseason, this is when they need to be their strongest at their best. A lot of times a pitcher who's thrown a lot of innings, they start to fizzle out, get a little bit tired, and you kind of wonder, can they handle the innings? But the staff that they have with Leslie Drury and Sydney Littlejohn has really helped Trina to have rest this year.
The 100th pitch of the game, it's hard to say, was a strike. You get to your 6th game in a 3-day period. Boards are a little harder to come by. The pitches for Trina are not.
Well, and it's so important for her to be able to shut down the offense, and she's just continued to get stronger from game 1 to game 2, and knowing that next weekend they get these 3 outs will be the best of 3 series, that she could come in and just win those 2 games, and that's it, having her to be able to throw these extra innings and stay strong. She's been just getting stronger all weekend.
This could start to be a postseason rivalry that we see often, Leah, because in 2012, South Alabama's first trip to the regional, they were sent here to Tuscaloosa, beat Georgia Tech, lost to Alabama, beat Georgia Tech by a run rule, and then lost again to Alabama. Last year they hosted, so they didn't see the Crimson Tide, but they're right back here again this year.
Sometimes that's just, you got to get over that hump. It's being able to try to find a way to push a win. Obviously hard, especially when you're sent to the #2 seed in the nation, and that's your challenge to overcome. And until they kind of can get past that, they continue. That's kind of their wall. That's where they're getting to, and it's that next step. Those teams that finally make it to that super regional, that they learn how to continue to stay there and get there.
Strikeout swinging by Alex Breeden, the 10th strikeout of the day for Jacqueline Trina. We want to welcome those of you joining us here at the Tuscaloosa Regional Final, where the #2 seed Alabama has a 3-0 lead over South Alabama in the bottom 7. Kara Capuano and 3-time Women's College World Series champion Leah Mika with you. Jacqueline Trina, when she gets that look in her eye and she knows victory is close, it's lockdown time.
One right here, she throws a rise ball 68 miles per hour, strikes out Breeden, and comes right back with a perfect off-speed pitch, dropping through the zone for a strike. She's locked in.
Caitlin Griffith trailing now 0-2. All 3 of Alabama's RBI in this regional final have come with 2 outs. A 2-run triple from Haley McClenny, the center fielder, back in the 2nd inning. And then Kayla Hunt with a single in the 5th. Caitlin Griffith hit an important home run early in this regional weekend to bring life back into South Alabama's backs. 1-2.
And right now, Trina just losing that ball a little bit. We see her working up the off speed. She'll go with that curve outside, and that drop ball just gets a little bit away from her. And I'm sure right now she's 2 outs away. She's ahead of this hitter, and just that adrenaline's probably starting to rise up just a little bit. See her take that deep breath, probably trying to calm herself down.
Griffith lifts that into left, out of the range of Callie Case. Patrick Murphy, Alabama's head coach, talking to us so much this weekend about the maturation of Jacqueline Traina. She always came in with all of the skills. She's always had a happy-go-lucky, great attitude, plays for the success of her teammates, not for herself. But she has grown up to let the defense behind her do the work, to not put all the expectation on herself. Griffith to Kayla Hunt from her knees. Nice stick-to-itiveness by the first baseman, Leona Lafaele.
Well, and this is why she can rely on her defense. Second baseman, Kayla Hunt, she goes to her knees. You don't see a lot of times infielders doing that, but she's going to make sure she gets that ball and can finish that play. And now they're one out away from advancing to Super Regionals. They know what this is like, and yet they know how much it matters.
Well, I guess these guys know what's on the line, too. This passionate, energetic, fiery Alabama crowd on its feet for what they're hoping is the final out of the Tuscaloosa Regional. Amanda Minahan is your batter for South Alabama.
In both previous at-bats in the second inning and the fourth inning, Traina went to that curve, struck out Minahan looking, and so she has to make sure that she's covering the outside part of this plate, trying to keep their team alive.
Two now to Minahan. Dueling crowd noise. We've got Alabama fans clapping, South Alabama fans chanting USA, USA. Big moment here and a huge pitch in Tuscaloosa. South Alabama may be down to its final strike. That one misses, 1-2.
As a pitcher, Traina knows that Minahan is going to swing at anything close. I think that's why she wants to make sure to still hit her spot. Doesn't need to strike her out. She just needs to get this out.
No corner caught there. Count even now at 2-2.
On that outside drop ball. Also has such a nice rise ball. The first pitch to Minahan, she fouled back.
These fans are relentless. Everybody's still standing. Cut the tension here with a knife.
Well, if you're Minahan, you know how much one strike can make the difference right now. So you're just going to do everything you can to not overthink, to try to see the ball and just try to make contact, to try to put that ball in that field.
Two pitch on the way.
And that pitch so close, very similar to the pitch that struck out Minahan not only in the second inning but the fourth inning. You see Traina give a little bit of a smirk on that pitch. Nice piece of hitting by Minahan to stay alive and have this 3-2 count.
Full count to Minahan. heady at bat for the freshman for South Alabama. Got a piece of that one. At bat stays alive.
And Traina coming back with that rise ball. And staying outside, then comes back, challenges Minahan up. See if she does that again or tries to take away that right side of the plate.
Amanda Minahan draws a walk.
And I think that's a great pitch selection to go to the off-speed pitch. Hadn't thrown it yet. It just ends up being a little too high. And man, got to give credit to Minahan for not swinging on that pitch.
Third walk of the game from Traina, but the first since the first inning. Big cut for Amanda Herron. Herron had a 2-run home run in the second elimination game against USC Upstate to help South Alabama advance into this regional final. 0-2 now to Herron.
And that rise ball just jumping over the bat of Amanda Herron. Jacqueline Traina spinning that ball hard. And what I love is that she throws the ball hard, but she also gets the movement.
Runner on first, 2 outs, 1-2 to Herron.
Traina really being in command this game. See the poise that she has as a senior.
Look at these fans on their feet, Leah, wanting this moment, wanting this Alabama team to advance, or wanting South Alabama to keep this rally alive. Strikeout 11 of the game for Jacqueline Traina seals the deal on her 22nd win of the season. Alabama's 10th straight trip to the Super Regional round.
It's all about finishing it. You can be expected to win, but you still got to find that W, and Traina leading the way, getting the job done in the circle, defense working behind her, and timely hitting. The Alabama softball they played, their expectations there, and they came up big.
Second time this season, Alabama and South Alabama have played. Both were 3-0 victories for Alabama, but the reward for this one far greater than a midweek non-conference game. Some of these seniors that have helped escalate South Alabama to become a household name in softball. They laid the foundation. These Jaguars will be back. Hannah Campbell, Julie Moss. Filled with tradition, the road to the Women's College World Series as the Alabama team chants back and forth with their fans, and a final Roll Tide roll. The Crimson Tide do roll into the Super Regional round, and Alabama next weekend will host the winner in the Columbia, Missouri Regional. Right now, Missouri and Nebraska are playing a deciding Game 7 there. The Cornhuskers with a 2-0 lead over the Missouri Tigers. Super Regional coverage begins Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. We welcome in the winning pitcher, Jacqueline Traina for Alabama. Jackie, the chance to advance this team back into the Super Regionals for a senior, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it means everything. I mean, playing at Road Stadium, that last, batter was so amazing. And to do it with this team, with my family, it's just great. End of the senior year is awesome.
Jacqueline, you've had a lot of W's in your career. Today, you just seemed so locked in. 11 strikeouts. I mean, did you just feel that much better? Every pitch was working for you. Tell me just what it felt like today.
I mean, it felt good. Yesterday it felt good. Today it felt good. So just coming in today's game, I was really confident, and it makes it really easy to be confident in the circle when you have amazing teammates behind you. And, I do it for them, and they drive me, and that's what helps me in the circle.
We've seen you take this team into the Super Regional round every year in your career. What distinguishes this Crimson Tide team for you as having a pretty good chance on the way to Oklahoma City?
I mean, they get it done. They get the runs that I need when I'm on the mound, and I trust them with everything I have, and that's what makes this team really special.
We'll be seeing you next weekend. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you.
Our coverage of the Super Regionals begins on Thursday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. Remember, after Regional Weekend, you can watch every single pitch on the road to the Women's College World Series and through it. Every Super Regional, every game from Oklahoma City. So Alabama, the #2 seed in the nation, moves on to its 10th straight Super Regional. For Leah Amico, our unbelievable ESPN3 crew here in Tuscaloosa, I'm Kara Capuano. Thanks for spending part of your weekend with us.